Kurt Cobain.
Legendary rock star.
Lead singer of Nirvana.
Drug addict. Oh, yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
The death of Kurt Cobain on April 8, 1994 was ruled as a suicide before it was even investigated. Now that seems a little strange, doesn't it? Before the police even investigated the scene, the weapon that was used, or the body itself, they ruled the case as suicide. Kurt Cobain had been missing for 6 days before finding the body. Courtney Love, Cobain's wife, hired a private investigator named Tom Grant to find her missing husband. Cobain had escaped from a rehab facility in Los Angeles after overdosing on Rohypnol in Rome. Now, Love claims this was his first suicide attempt, but after Grant interviewed Dylan Carlson, Cobain's close friend and bandmate, Grant discovered Cobain appeared to be happy with his life and never showed any interest in committing suicide, proving Love's statement to be false. This was the first piece of evidence to create Grant's conspiracy that Courtney Love hired someone to murder Kurt Cobain and had helped the police to cover it up. According to Love's father, Courtney Love fed off Kurt Cobain's fame more than Kurt did himself. She enjoyed having all the attention on her. Love had stated that Cobain and her were not getting along, and she discovered a letter in a sealed white envelope under her pillows stating that Cobain wanted a divorce. So, where did you find that suicide note?
He tried to commit suicide in Rome, but when we got back, after he went missing, I found letters in my pillows that were obviously suicide letters. Sorry, I can't.
You know, there's only one problem with that. Me and Dave Carlson were in your house the night before the body was found. There was no suicide letter. We tore apart your whole room.
Good one, but you know, it has been a while, and like, I'm his wife. I knew him best. They were obviously suicide notes that I have found.
Love later destroyed this letter because Detective Don Cameron, working on this investigation, told Love she wouldn't gain anything from this. Kurt and Courtney had a child together, Frances Bean. If they got a divorce, Love would be left with a small settlement and would have the child to care for as well. But if Cobain was dead, she would gain riches and estates worth millions of dollars. She was upset with Cobain, upset that he wanted to leave her.
Cobain had apparently been staying in the greenhouse right next to the main estate while he was missing, but had entered the main estate multiple times. Michael Callie DeWitt, ex-boyfriend of Courtney Love and current live-in nanny at the time of the Cobain residence, had been home during this entire incident. He knew Cobain had returned home, and DeWitt left a note for Cobain using vulgar language, telling him he needed to contact Love. However, Love claims DeWitt never told her of his sightings of Cobain. Tom Grant wanted surveillance in the Cobain home in case Cobain came back when no one was home, but Love was very protective and declined the offer. Grant did, however, visit the residence himself and discovered this very note of DeWitt one night before the finding of the body. Grant, however, failed to look in the greenhouse where Cobain's body had been for 2 days. The morning of April 8, 1994, just before 9 a.m., it was out on every news station. An electrician was hired to fix the lighting in the Cobain's greenhouse, and when he arrived, the door was locked and he saw a body on the floor through the glass windows. Grant immediately rushed to the scene along with the police and went to the front of the line through the press and told officers he was a private investigator hired by Courtney Love to find missing Kurt Cobain and had some information they might find useful. The officer briefly discussed with the chief and came back and told Grant he was too busy and to call the Seattle Police Department around 3 p.m. They would try to talk to him then. Facts show that any official that would discover information about a sudden death like this one would hop on the opportunity to discuss with someone who may know more, but they let Grant go, not even holding him. Cobain's suicide note is a very different suicide note. He starts off just talking about how he loves his music and his passion for his career, but how he wants to change it. Just as the font changes, however, then he starts listing expected aspects in a normal suicide note, like he loves Courtney and that things will get better and she needs to just move on. It's strange how normal aspects of a suicide note only come in when the font changes. Also, after Cobain's death, Grant discovered from Rosemary Carroll, a close family friend of the Cobains, scripts of the alphabet, along with Cobain's journal and a bag of Courtney Love's that she left at her house on April 6th. It appeared the letters looked like Cobain's writing. It was as if someone traced each letter out of Cobain's journal and wrote the suicide note, trying as hard as possible to make it look like Cobain's writing. Courtney Love hired someone to kill Kurt Cobain, then talked the police into covering it up and hired Tom Grant so it looked as if she was worried, only to gain riches and more fame.
My name's Courtney Love, and I need you to kill my husband, Kurt Cobain.
Condiments! Ah!